Greetings, how are you? This is Tyra Omilada, your goddess guru, your sister friend, and I love helping women align with their life purpose using the power of ancient wisdom and the goddess centered lifestyle. And I just want to talk a little bit about sinners. I just finished watching the movie and I just have energy moving all through my body. I'm not really into vampires and stuff like that. So, I had to be a big girl. Um, and just tell myself I can do this. You can't tell, but it's full on daylight outside because I thought I can only do this during the day. So, overall, an excellent movie. Again, I'm not into vampires and in horror movies. Somebody even mentioned it sort of isn't a horror movie, but I would put it in the category of horror. But definitely horror plus culture, plus spirituality, that kind of thing. So in terms of like rating it, in terms of like how is it as a horror movie, I don't actually know because I never watched them. Just too sensitive. But so many people wanted me to give my opinion and what I thought of the movie. um, yeah, it's just so many people it was just so many rave reviews from people who I respect, who probably love horror movies. And so, yeah, the movie's very intense. Spoiler alert, if you don't wanna know what happens in the movie, then you don't need to listen because 'cause I'm gonna be talking about what happened in the movie, but I definitely went into the movie. I avoided all discussion of it. I did not hear any. I watched the trailer and thought to myself, "Dear goddess, I don't know if I can watch this with this vampire looking theme or whatever." But I decided, to go on ahead and watch it. But anywho, um, other than that, I would not listen to any commentary. I had no idea. I just know that people were saying, there's something spiritual and it must be in my mind, I was thinking it must be something similar to what I do spiritually because so many people are asking me for my thoughts. And a lot of the people who I've heard talk about this, they are similar to me in spirituality. I put on my leckes. I never wear my leckes, but I have on my warriors. I was like, I gotta put something on. Well, I saw that once I saw the vampires, I started holding my little crystal. um, so yeah, movies very interesting and intense. I did take some notes, so you may see me looking off to the side. So I probably need to go back and watch the beginning again because it did strike me that it started off talking about the different people who tell stories and keep the history. And then they spoke of the griots and how sometimes the griots can call things in that aren't good. So I already knew something like that was going to be afoot. um, of course, Preacher Boy, is somebody who, well, he's the center of the movie. And I remember thinking, hold up, after the first scene when, he walks into the church and the dad is like, put the guitar down, Preacher Boy, or whatever he was calling him, Sammy. And and then it shoots off to the day before, and Sammy's looking great. I'm like, wait a minute, what happened in such a short period of time? But, to a certain degree, I feel like there were so many family curses. And of course, it kind of unfolded as the movie went on. But I definitely felt like, I don't know if it was a prophecy. Initially, I kind of felt like the father sort of cursed Sammy when he was like, you out there, you're gonna call something in. But maybe he was being prophetic. Maybe he was, trying to give him a warning. I just think it's interesting that Sammy rejected putting the guitar down, and he decided to continue to use his gift and his talent. But, that guitar, who knew how special that guitar that guitar is? Um, I'm a little bit mixed about that, because it's like it belonged to his uncle who was evil, Um, but Sammy is magical. There's something special about Sammy. So it's kind of like specialness and magic mixed in with this token, this family heirloom that was essentially like a tool that opened up the energetic field and allowed the vampires to find them, being at the club. So in my mind, it's sort of like I don't want to be afraid of ancestral stuff, but we know Stack lied to Sammy about where that guitar actually really came from. But so it's a little bit of a cautionary tale. And we just what I will say is I do want to give Ryan Coogler credit for just being an artist. And that's pretty ingenious to kind of, and this is my take on it. I would love to hear what y'all think about the guitar, but it's kind of like, we have this magical Sammy who, can sing, and it looks like he's self-taught on the guitar. And but he's using something that is, you know, sort of satanic because his uncle was so evil. So it's like kind of like being empowered by something that is a little bit negative. But at the end of the day, the guitar did take down the vampire. I was like, what kind of guitar is that? It's like, is the guitar magical or is it so evil that it could take down that vampire? I thought that was pretty incredible. Let's see here. Preacher Boy. Love Preacher Boy's character to the end, and the battle scars that he wore into his adult life, getting old and everything, I should say. And then never forgetting Pearline, creating that monument to her in his club, and still owning that guitar. Yeah. It for me, I'm a little bit torn. I'm a little bit torn. But, Sammy was the griot. He was definitely the griot in the movie. And to a certain degree, it's like sometimes you don't know your power. I'm not gonna lie, I was like amazed that the setting is Clarksdale, Mississippi, because I'm from Mississippi, and I actually have family in Clarksdale. I've been to Clarksdale. Yes, there are Asian people there. So that was like super cool. And the other thing too is, this could represent Black people everywhere, but that is sort of like, to me, so much of what I saw in that movie, even though, it was in the 30s, just reminded me so much of Mississippi, so many different beautiful hues. I remember one of my friends came to visit with me. She was like, I've never seen people this Black before. And this is a Black woman. She was like, I've never seen people this Black before. She's not from Mississippi. And I was like, yeah, everyone from Sammy and his father's hue to Mary, who that's why I don't trip. If somebody tells me they're Black and they look white, I'm like, in Mississippi, that's what that's what we did. So yeah, Preacher Boy definitely was the griot. And it kind of speaks to how it doesn't matter that we consciously remember that we are the griots, or whatever our gifts and talents are. It doesn't matter if we consciously remember it. We will remember. It will come through. And then just the way he's saying, and it converged all of the timelines into one. We had people from the past there dancing. We had people from the future there dancing. I believe in past, the ancestors of the past. I even believe in, understanding that there's future people out there that are here with us also. Maybe we could think about the babies or whatever. That was a pretty amazing part of the movie, and just kind of speaking to these gifts that we have. And maybe by the end of the movie, Sammy did have control of his gift because he didn't give it up, number 1. Number 2, he made a career out of it, and, he just continued to sing. I love that he wasn't even phased when he saw Stack and Mary come in at the end. Um, yeah, he to me, Sammy, and then the way he sang, I was gonna say he's pure light, and then the way he sang at the end, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine." And, these are the kinds of things that we have to really lean into. So, yeah, kudos to Preacher Boy. I might come back to him. Um, I did take note of when Smoke and Stack. First of all, kudos to Michael B. Jordan. This man straight up played 2 different roles side by side in this movie. Like what? I saw the clip where he said he's a babalao or something like that. Wow. This man has some power to him. And I even wondered if he has to do with the Ibeji. So these are the twins in the Ifa tradition. So I definitely saw that piece, with the twins, and um, how when they walked into the sawmill, they noticed something was on the floor, but they didn't pick up what they didn't really ask questions. By the end of the movie, I was like, "Can we please create a can we build a case for smudging everything and everybody? And when you buy a new home, I'm gonna need for y'all to call in your preacher, your imam, your baba, your iya, the witch down the street. I'm gonna need you to call everybody in. Can we make a case? Okay, can we make a case for smudging and blessing?" Woo! I knew something was up when they said, "What's on this floor?" And then Hogwood, I call him Boss Hog. I shouldn't call him Boss Hog because at least Boss Hog was funny, but Hogwood ain't no clan around here. And I'm thinking to myself, in 1932, yes, there was. And of course, he was the clan, right? So, yeah, that was really, really interesting. The snake maybe was an omen. I haven't really fleshed out the snake, but the snake definitely felt like an omen. And I'm sure to them it was sort of like this is just what happens when out in the country and stuff like that. Might be a snake. But yeah, the snake, yeah. Love the blue and the red. One twin had on blue, smoke. The other one had on red, stack. Wonder if the colors mean anything, right? Initially I was kind of like, Yemanja and Haru, I mean Shango, like, what is this about? What are the blue colors? I just noticed that it was a lot of blue. They even had the sign be red. Look at that. And look at the one who was wearing red. He became the vampire. And I noticed Annie had on African colors. It seems like it was red, green, and yellow on, around on her dress or whatever she was wearing when we first not Annie, Grace had on African colors, but definitely this blue and red theme that was kind of in there. I love the cinematography. That was excellent. The movie moved along. Like I was never bored during the movie. And you could just tell things were just kind of like stacking up. But yeah, um, let's see here. I loved when Smoke went and spoke to the little girl and was like, "Hey, watch my truck," and um had her, bid. He taught her like, "Hey, you don't just take what people offer. You gotta like create a little price war or whatever." And he said, numbers are always in conversation with each other. I thought that was interesting as somebody who loves numerology. Thought that was interesting. Oh my gosh, Delta Slim. Wow. What a powerful character Delta Slim was. Like, I kind of feel like Delta Slim was like an SU type of energy, turned Ogun at the end. Or, he was this elder figure who was like, I'm gonna do what I need to do to save the ones who are younger and of light and that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, Delta Slim definitely felt more of like the Eshu energy, the Elegua, um, you know, wise, kind of everywhere. Um, what else do I want to say about Delta Slim? Funny. He was definitely, kind of, Elegua. He's a little bit of a jokester, right? So he really um brought the Elegua energy. But what I will say is I took a note that Delta Slim explains why black people sing the blues. He totally helped me to see why we sing the blues. And it's not like I don't understand that, but he just really illustrated that, with his story that he told about what had happened to him and then some other man who was traveling with them. Let's see here. Perlene, she had on blue. I thought that was interesting. Annie had on blue. And so, I kind of love Yemonja, but I'm not gonna say that I thought that they were Yemonja because Perlene truly seemed like an Oshun to me. Did you see her up there singing? I was like, oh, okay, Perlene. I'm like, okay, like, where is this coming from? But she brought in this sensual energy while she was dancing. Also, the thing that I love too, Perlene, Sammy, knocking boots. Smoke and Annie knocking boots. I was just like, see, they were knocking boots back in the day. They were just doing what humans do. Okay. So yeah. Um Perlene, yeah, definitely to me, even though she had on blue, she was so Oshun. So Oshun with, just she's young, singing, um, sensual, sexual, all in there with Sammy. So yeah. And then Mary. Whoo. Okay, I struggled with Mary a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I struggled with Mary a little bit. Her and Stack. Her and Stack. They have some type of karmic relationship. Stack is like, why are you what are you doing here? And you could just feel the attraction between the two of them. And I know Mary is biracial, but wow. She Mary was doing a few things that was a little bit like a white woman to me. And I don't want to throw no shade on nobody, but I'm sorry. She was doing a little bit of kind of sort of what those kind of white women. I ain't gonna say all white women, those kind of white women be doing. Uh she was tracking Stack down, Stack trying to get rid of her. And in the end, Stack really did care for her. He loved her. He wanted to be with her, but he just knew it wasn't going to work out because she is white presenting and he's a black man. But I'm like, Smoke told the vampires, "Gone, get out of here." And who goes out to get them? Mary. I'm like, Mary, why? You didn't told Stack what to do. Maybe they got some type of karma since they walked into the club at the end of the movie all young and youthful. Maybe they had some type of karma together. I don't know. But I'm just like, Mary, Mary, no, don't do it. Don't do it. But she did it. She did it. So I just don't know what to say about it. And I do think it's interesting that her name is Mary. I did find that to be very, very interesting. Even when I see Perlene dressed in blue, I'm like, still Oshun, but that's very Yemaya-esque. Um, okay. Loved Annie from the door. Okay. Loved how she looks, loved her figure, loved how she was unapologetic and like, I don't want that blood money. Give me my little whatever this thing is that we're exchanging here. I'd rather keep this clean money than to be using that bad money that you got. Um, but yeah. And so touching that she and Smoke, we figured out she and Smoke have a baby together and the baby apparently died. And you could just see that tenderness in Smoke. Like Smoke was the leader. I don't know if he was born first, but you could tell Smoke was the lead twin. Stack was the little brother, and Smoke is trying to keep Stack alive and everything. Smoke killed. Now that's some family karma right there. Smoke killed the dad for beating Stack to Stack didn't even have consciousness. So Smoke kills dad, burying him when Stack wakes up. Dad is already in the ground. Um Smoke, that is the name for him. Smoke, baby. He came with the smoke. Definitely an Ogun energy. Stack, Shango. I don't care what nobody say. Smoke, Ogun, Stack, Shango. Stack was just, so charming and charismatic. And, to a certain degree, he was sort of like Shango, just it's like Smoke said, "Don't let at the time, it just seemed like some white people who needed to keep on moving." He said, "Don't let them in." And Stack, what's he doing? Hanging out with Mary. She's convincing him, "Let's get this money. Let's get these coins." Well, she got some coins that, woo, changed the trajectory of a lot of people's lives that night. Um, so yeah, Smoke, to see him so tender around that baby, whoo, and around Annie. Ooh, I just love the scene where, she just brought him in and they didn't waste no time, honey. They did not waste no time knocking boots, baby. But then he's talking about you set doing all this root work and everything. Now, this was one of my favorite parts of the movie. This was one of the parts that I could relate to the best. You doing all this mojo work and doing all this root work. I've been here and I've been there. I didn't seen people killed this way and that way, and I ain't never seen no roots. She was like, "Well, I've been here praying for you. You still got that mojo back?" He pulled it out. She started praying over it. I believe in that. I sure do. I work roots for my family in my own special way. I make it up. All right. So, oh, the fact that she was speaking Yoruba, I said, okay, Ashe, I see you, Annie. And you see, in the end, he was like, I'm tired of being saved by Annie. Annie gone. She on the other side. She's sitting there in her white, like an ancestor holding a baby in white. He looking at the ancestors, and he done pulled off the little amulet because he was like, I'm tired of this thing saving me, right? So, yeah, yeah. Love, love, love that. Love Annie. Even in the club, Annie is like, those people give me the willies. And she threw pickle juice on somebody and it started, one of the vampires, and it messed them up. And she knew what to do. Like, don't get Stack out of here after Stack became a vampire. thanks to Mary. Mary, what are you doing, Mary? Anywho, um, yeah, so she told everybody to eat the garlic. She knew that. These are things that I feel we have been robbed of. And to a certain degree, we rob ourselves of it because we have been allowed to be taught that, you know, hoodoo is bad. So, we have the Ifa tradition, we have other, African traditional religions, and that also includes hoodoo of the United States, which is what Annie, was practicing. And hoodoo is this mixture. I call my spirituality gumbo because I understand I got a little bit of Yoruba, I got a little bit of Egyptian, I got a little bit of goddess, I got a little bit of just what my I feel my ancestors are calling me to do. And this is Black people in America. This is women. This is from time memorial. It doesn't even matter the culture. You want to disempower people, take away the root magic and take away the spiritual sciences, such as all the different types of divination, be it oracle, which we saw Annie's oracle. And I hope that y'all understand. Annie was just doing what Annie was led to do, and it was working. And she told him, this is what I love about Annie. Hey, they get me, you better kill me because I need to go see my baby. I don't want to be, stuck here as a vampire. She knew about all of that, right? So I encourage everyone to stop being afraid. And it's like the best thing you can do is to baby step your way where you don't feel like where you're kind of nervous, because initially we do feel a little bit nervous about it. But I encourage you to start infusing these kinds of things into your life because this is a part of our power. This is a part of our power. So kudos to Annie. Wow, Ryan Coogler. That is a powerful, powerful character that shows the power of working roots. Having mojo bags. I have a mojo bag. I carry it with me all the time. I had a situation with a family member. It was like something very seriously going on. That took a couple of years. Took a couple of years. And this family member was doing their part to pray for themselves also. But I'm going to tell you, I like she said, pray unceasingly. I was on it. Okay. And I give my family member credit for doing their part too, right? So woo. Yeah, Grace, I don't remember Grace's husband's name, but I love that they had the Chinese people as a part of the whole movie because that is Clarksdale, Mississippi. So I do love that it was multicultural to a certain degree because of course we had the African Americans, we had the white people, we had the Chinese, and then we had the Native Americans, right? So that was very, very cool. And I, I did struggle with Grace a little bit, but then it actually turned out to be kind of like the thing that saved them. I'm gonna give her credit. Her thing was this: we finna do something because they not gonna get my girl. I ain't mad at her for that. I said, Grace is a warrioress. She is a Chinese warrior. We even saw, the Chinese ancestors in that big dance scene. We even saw them. And so, it's interesting. Maybe all of those energies were there working on behalf, especially the ancient ones were there, playing their part. Because what Annie said is what you not gonna, not Annie, Gracie, whatever her name is, Grace. She was like, what y'all not gonna do is let them go get my girl. She like, this man speaking Chinese to me, full Chinese. What y'all not gonna do is let them get my baby girl. And for that, I do not judge her. I don't judge her. And at the end of the day, okay, so we got to talk about how the vampires could not come in. They couldn't just walk in, had to be invited in, right? I thought that was powerful. I thought that was very, very powerful. But she realized I'm gonna call them in because they not gonna take my child. So I do give her credit. I give her credit for that. I do. Um, okay, so the Native Americans. Wow. First of all, this white man shows up. He's on fire and he shows up at these white people's door. And the thing that got me, because it wasn't just him, it was, or that couple, I got this gold. I said, huh. People falling for shiny objects, people falling for money, because it wasn't just them. It was also Mary, and it was also Stack. They all fell for that gold. Everything that shimmers ain't good, right? Everything that the shimmery and shiny ain't good for you. Cautionary tale. Because I just want to jump forward to when all the vampires were outside and they're singing. It was, it's like we're family, and all the love bombing that they did. I was like, I've been telling y'all to be careful of cults. Been telling y'all that. But anywho, this man shows up at these people's door. Got some coins. Out here's the coins that'll help you. Invite me in. Mm-mm-mm. I just finished watching this movie, so I don't know everything about these coins, but every Native American that watches this movie is gonna be like, we did our part. We tried to help you. Man even said a prayer, and they were like, it's about to be dark. We got to go. They tried to let her know. They did their part. They did their part. So all it made me think about was one day this naked woman showed up at our front door. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning, woke us up out of our sleep. And to this day, my husband feels bad because he was like, I don't know if she was on the run. I don't know if she was being trafficked. We called the police. They couldn't find her anywhere. And I said, let me explain something to you. Baby, I was Annie. I was like, nah, don't let her in. We had our child up here. I was like, no, 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 no. You're not gonna let her up in this house. That's what I thought about. You married to a preacher, weird stuff happens from time to time. Woo! Yeah, I'm gonna have every light on tonight, baby. Every woo. Okay, that just made me a little bit nervous. But anywho, there's this notion of this forced religion that what's his name? Delta Slim talked about, as well as the lead vampire, which I did not catch his name, but that lead male white man, vampire. He talked about how some religion got forced on them. No shade, but I'm wondering, was this talking about how some of this religion has messed up white folks and got them all messed up? But guess what? We messed up too. We are all a part of, as long as and I don't want to poo-poo on religion. I'm not going to disrespect religion. But there is something there. I don't remember everything that he said. I probably need to go back and listen again, but I just thought to myself, this is so interesting that both Delta Slim talked about the imposition of religion and what it did to us as Black people, and then the white man vampire, he's saying the same thing. This religion was imposed upon us, and this is what you got. Whoa. Okay. uh and Delta Slim said blues wasn't forced on us like religion. Music conjuring people from past and future. The people showing up as a whole. Oh yeah. So yeah, Music wasn't forced on us like religion, and then the music started conjuring people from the past and the future, shows how our ancestors and descendants walk with us. And I said that that musical scene, it's like those moments when we know something got opened up, the music, the singing and music are so important. And I just got to be honest with y'all. It's one of the reasons I do everything I can to not invoke too much emotion with you all, because using music and dance. I do my best not to do it too much because I know how important it is in spirituality. It can truly open things up. And it's not every time. Like, I don't want us to be walking around here afraid and scared. I mean, like, you at the point of your life where you are and you made it just fine, right? But when it comes to these cults and people taking advantage of folks spiritually and just wanting to, we like to say in the Ifa tradition, wanting to own your head, wanting to be in charge of this up here and control you or whatever, they use music. They use music and dancing, and it's like it disengages your ability to think logically. And so, I was listening to something earlier talking about how some of these sensational gurus of nowadays, especially like personal development, use hypnotic talking. And it's like, I know how to do it, and I refuse because I need you to be in charge of you. I don't want to sway you. If I'm going to sway you, I'm telling you, you're powerful beyond measure. And I want you to sit with yourself and make your own decisions. Right. Those are the kinds of ways that I like to sway people. But there was definitely something about that song that called those vampires in. They heard it. Now, I think they were attracted to, there was that life force that was there. And so, okay, here's something else I have for y'all. In Ifa, we have the Ajagun and we have the Ajogun. The Ajagun are the warriors, Eshu Ogun or Chozi Osun. And then the Ajogun are these negative, evil spirits, you could call them. And to a certain degree, they are here to create a challenge. It's almost like, are you going to fulfill your destiny or are you not? And part of the game is making it through the Ajogun. It's kind of like when you aren't doing what you're called to do, it might be an Ajogun in play. Because, all these spirits, all of them, they're attracted to light. They're attracted to our destiny. They're attracted to our life force energy. And so, yeah, that's what I see happen in that part of the movie. They could hear the specialness of Preacher Boy. He's being this griot and doesn't know that he's a griot. And it's just something energetically and magical happened. And I just think it's so interesting that he just never was able to get to Preacher Boy. I thought it was interesting. He didn't bite him right away. He was dunking him. Preacher Boy started saying the Lord's Prayer. He said it with them, and that's what sent him into that monologue about uh, the. They sent him the monologue about the religion being imposed on his people, and he just kept dunking him. He just kept dunking him. I was like, huh. I don't know if Preacher Boy being so pure, saying that prayer, even acknowledging, hey, my dad said this is what I created. I was going to call something in with my music, even though Delta Slim was like, oh, no, I rebuke that. You are special and you will make it out of here before I do, you know? Um, and then Preacher Boy decided to hit him over the head and the guitar, you know, took sort of took him out, and then of course the daylight started coming. So, hmm, there's definitely something around speaking. I don't think people understand how important speaking is. I'm not a part of the Wiccan tradition or witchy traditions per se. But there's got to be a reason spells are so so much a part of that tradition. Our throat chakra is very important. I put Mercury and Eshu. And so the ability to speak, what are you speaking into your life? What are other people speaking into you? We're constantly speaking either spells or curses. Okay. So yeah, the power of the voice, I think, was really interesting in this movie. Ooh. I said the song told them everything they needed to know, but I don't really remember. I just know the song was about um I know the song was about his dad, but I don't remember everything. But the song is what called them in. I love that he mentioned Mount Bayou, Mississippi. I don't know if I've been to Mount Bayou, but it was just interesting. I was like, I have to learn, see if that's true, if that was like an accurate fact that he shared or what. Mount Bayou has always been the country to me. But yeah, the evil of money. Everything that glitters ain't gold. That's what I wrote. The way he talked to Mary. Now I feel bad for Mary for this part, because he could just read what was going on with Mary. The vampires were definitely Ajogun. They represent the Ajogun in the Ifa tradition. I know I used to hear from my Muslim friends. They are called ooh, some of y'all will drop it in the comments. I can't remember. Oh, jinn. Jinn could be good or bad. So they would be bad jinn. They were bad jinn. And yeah. So, just taking advantage and everything. Y'all watch for the scammers. When I saw that part, I was like, what I wrote scammers, taking advantage of people's pain, love bombing them. And Mary knew something wasn't right, but it was too late. She put her hands on those coins. I was like, why are you gonna walk back with the coins? You need to drop them coins, okay? Um, yeah, Mary came back in there and just grabbed that soul. She came in and grabbed his soul, but it was easy. Stack was really attracted to her. I thought that the song Pale Pale Moon was interesting. I don't remember all of the words, but I did write that. Let's see here. Woo. Yeah, hey, y'all gonna invite me in. I tell people all the time, if something negative is there, send it away. Any dark sees you can't stay here. Get out. That's what you say. And this is one of the reasons why I love the EFI tradition. Because as we progress through the tradition, you can get your warriors. We put Eshu Elegua at our door, our front door. And we have the Ogun pots here. And I believe in implements. I love the implements, and they alone don't do anything. It's more of like how they anchor us to this energy in the universe. But I don't even believe you need an Ogun pot or your warriors or anything. You know, One of the things that I do is this, and I'll be doing this tonight after watching this movie. It's like, uh, I need Ogun. I need you standing at all four corners of my yard, of my property. I need ancestors propped up at both doors, and I'm gonna go to sleep at night. You know, because this is a part of what it means to be, a part of an indigenous tradition, and this is what it means to be Afro. That kind of thing. Indigenous, period. Okay, let's see here. I loved how Annie was doing her readings. Yeah, the vampires also cult. This don't have nothing to do with race, ethnicity, nothing. Cults are running amok right now. This, to me, this was probably the biggest cautionary tale to being a part of a cult. Yes, I said Grace is some sort of Chinese warrior. She was not playing. Yeah, I wanna know, do y'all feel like Sammy's dad spoke a curse over him? It was something some negative family something going on. I don't care what no one says, whether his dad spoke a curse over him or not, the brother, you know, all of that. Mm. Oh, ooh, when the lead vampire was like, "I want your stories and I want your songs." That was a bone-chilling, um, statement or, line in the movie. Also, killing Annie because Stack said to, Smoke, "Man, you killed Annie and that messed everything up." I said, "That was a powerful sister. That was a powerful sister." Let's see here. Yeah. Stack is so Shango to me. Shango was just about self. And people ain't all bad, but Shango just was about self and poor choices. And a lot of people ended up getting hurt as a result. I wrote here, Stack missed all the signs. So, what was it? The vampire told them what happened? Oh, yeah. All of them were telling them, telling Smoke, hey, this place was a slaughterhouse. And whatever his name is, the white man that sold them the slaughterhouse was like, ain't no clan, Hogwood, ain't no clan, but having all the plans to come and take out these black men. Now, this part of the movie, I don't care what nobody says, was a black man's dream. Because Smoke was like, you know what? Y'all didn't took everything from me. And I ain't got nothing to lose. I'm here for it. I said, I don't know where Smoke had been. I don't know whose army he had been in, but Smoke told you Ogun. Smoke was ready. Smoke went straight Ogun. Smoke was Ogun because, once everybody started dying, Smoke just covered in blood, unfazed. Smoke just covered in blood. And that's one of the things about Ogun. Ogun is like, oh, I ended up, you know, unaliving all these people. I've tried to speak like I'm on YouTube. But anywho, I'm like, no disrespect. I got a lot of people in my life, a lot of white guys in my life who I love and I care about, and they're good people. But for the Klansmen out there to see that part of the movie, a little part of me felt like, woo, mm, sweet justice. It was just a movie, though, right? Thank goodness. It's just a movie. But my son told me about this book based on people in Mississippi. Name of the book is We Will Shoot Back. There were black people in Mississippi who were like, I got nothing to lose. This was back in the day during civil rights time. I got nothing to lose. Y'all not gonna come up in here and terrorize me. We will shoot back. So it made me kind of think of that, like, woo, wow, wow. My heart, voice, soul belong to the Lord. I don't remember who said that. I should have taken note. To see the baby and Annie, I was like, okay, we see Smoke about to go. Smoke, Smoke took out Hogwood, but he finally got reunited with Annie and the baby. They're all in white. That is so ancestral. I put who is the man at the end. But this might be you know. It was fast forward to Sammy being an old man. And, yeah, it also shows me wait till the credits end. It was 2 times I thought the movie was over and something else came back up after the credits rolled a little bit. Um, you know, Smoke couldn't kill his brother, and Stack stayed away. He made an agreement and he stayed away, and, uh, the conversation that they had, like, up until it was nighttime, that was one of the best days of my life. I don't know what to think about that part, I don't want to feel like dreams are deferred for African Americans, but I thought that was an interesting line. Stack said, "We were free." Mm, yeah. And then, of course, at the end, Sammy was singing, "This Little Light of Mine," and, yeah. So, overall, just a very good vampire movie that represents our culture and our experience, which includes, the experiences of so many. Um, I don't think that it's just about Black people, but it is about falling for spiritual stuff that, yeah, just turns you into a vampire. We gotta beware of that. That's one of my that maybe I'm seeing that because that is something I'm so hyper focused on that it is just how it is. So many people are falling for cults, and we are just like that. We're vampire like, whatever become a part of a cult, and it's this hive mind because they had this hive mind going on, and it sucks all your life force energy, and you end up losing your voice and your stories, right? So, cautionary tale there. And, just the power of our spirituality, our ancient spirituality, the spirituality that is born out of necessity. Um, yeah, pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. So I give thanks. I give thanks. I give thanks. Just honoring all of the beautiful actors and actresses and the writer and the producer, Ryan Coogler, just honoring him. Probably gonna have to look at his chart and Michael B. Jordan's now. Oh, definitely gonna have to look at Annie. Like, what is her name? I'm gonna have to go back and look at the credits. Maybe even Sammy, but yeah, just honoring that entire cast and the crew and just everyone who was a part of this movie. And yeah, don't know if I actually can watch it again. I might need to look at like the words, like let me just see the script. I don't know if I could watch this movie again, but anywho, hope that this has given you some insight. What are y'all's thoughts? Yeah. What are y'all's thoughts? All right, peace and love.